Congressman Eliot Engel is the Democrat from New York and the ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, let me ask you about that. We've seen something from a House Republican, something from a Senate Democrat. Do you think the president needs your authorization at this point to move forward against ISIS, specifically in Syria?
Well, my reading of the War Powers Act is that the president has 60 days to act alone before he needs to come to Congress. But I believe the president should come to Congress. I think that the authorizations that we had in the past with Iraq are no longer relevant, and certainly for Syria as well. So I think the president should do it. We need to have a united front, and the way the president does that the best is by, of course, coming to Congress. So I would say absolutely.
Now, last time you and I talked about this, things were really heating up, and we talked about the possibility of boots on the ground. The president has said that idea is what he termed a profound mistake. But do you think we can get this done? We can decimate ISIS, if that is the long-term goal, without putting more U.S. personnel, as we have had a steady stream of small deployments there. Do you think we can do it without putting more boots on the ground?
Well, I would hope so. We do have the Kurds on the ground. We have what's left of the Iraqi army on the ground, and I would hope we wouldn't need to do any boots on the ground. There may at some point have to be some kind of special forces, but I don't want to jump ahead of myself. I think that ISIS must be stopped. It must be stopped at all costs. I think the brutal beheadings that we've seen recently shows the world what kind of thugs we're dealing with. And if we allow ISIS to fester and to have a no man's land with which they can plan and plot attacks on the U.S. homeland, they'll do it. We saw what happened with the Taliban in Afghanistan, and the result was September 11th, 2001. This will happen again if we don't stop it. But again, it cannot be us alone. It's got to be NATO. I'm glad the president is bringing NATO together, but we need more from other countries as well. This has to be a unified coalition against ISIS. ISIS is certainly a danger to the U.S. homeland.
And Congressman, I know that you were just in Israel just days ago, and I'd like to ask you what their perspective is on this, given that they are much closer, geographically at least, to the situation that's playing out.
Well, I think they rightfully look at Hamas as ISIS. Terrorism is terrorism, and there's no difference, in my opinion, between the Hamas terrorists and the ISIS terrorists. And Israel, of course, faces terrorism every single day. I'm proud of the fact that the United States has stood with Israel and has saved countless number of Israelis' lives with the Iron Dome. Israel fights terrorism each and every day, and unfortunately, terrorism is something that's growing. And it frustrates me in a way that some of our European allies don't quite see it this way. The Middle East is a lot closer geographically to them than it is to us, and sure as can be, the way the terrorists every day plan attacks on Israel, they're planning attacks on Europe and on the United States, and that's why they need to be stopped at all costs.
The threats are many. Congressman Engel, we thank you for your time today, sir, and we'll see you back here in Washington.
Thank you, Shannon. Always a pleasure.